One person is feared dead after a long truck ran into a billboard at Anloga Junction in Kumasi. About 3 others sustained injuries after being trapped under the truck. It is the second time in 2 weeks such an incident has been recorded at the scene. Nanaya Ojima joins us live with more. Nanaya Ojima, what can you report on this?
The long truck carting agrochemicals veered off the road and collided into a billboard. The billboard and the vehicle fell in one direction. Beneath the billboard were some food vendors who sell at the spot at night. According to the eyewitnesses, some patrons of the food vendors were seated for supper at the time of the accident. Vincent Awum spoke to JoyNews.
I
noticed the vehicle had lost brake, so I went ahead of it to raise alarm. It then veered off the road. After running into a taxi, some people were having their supper when the truck rammed into them. We are now trying to rescue them.
What's the Ghana National Fire Service, Ghana Police Service, and the ambulance service are all on the ground trying to help save lives of people who have been trapped under the vehicle. As you can see, there are lots of people here just to observe what is happening, and this is negatively affecting the work being done here by the services, the security services I mean. Presently, one side of the road has been closed to traffic, and this has negatively affected the flow of traffic here at Anloga Junction. This is the second time in 2 weeks that such an accident is happening at the exact spot.
The Anloga Junction intersection is prone to accidents. The area has been a target for all major decongestion exercises in the Kumasi metropolis. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
The headmasters of Orali Senior High School in Accra and the Ghana Senior High School, Ganas, have been asked to step aside for investigations into alleged charging of unapproved fees and selling unauthorized items. Let's share a brief of the letters of interdiction with you and then speak with the GS for more. It says that it has come to the notice of management the collection of unauthorized monies of Orali Senior High School as part of the admission process. Based on the above and as the Code of Conduct stipulates, you are to step aside for investigation to be conducted. You are hereby directed to hand over all property of the school to the Municipal Director of Education, Lejokuku, in the interim, who will take oversight responsibility of the school for the period of your absence, and is signed by Stephen Abamfo, is the Acting Director of Education, Greater Accra, and copied to Director General of GES. And those are excerpts of the statement. I've been joined by Cassandra Chum. She is the PRO of GES. Cassandra, what exactly did the headmasters do, and what did they charge these amounts of monies for? Hello, Cassandra, if you can hear me. What exactly are these headmasters stepping aside for? All right, so it looks like we don't have Cassandra Chum there. We'll try and get her to speak on the matter. Former President John Mahama says he envisions Ghana becoming an export-led economy if his 24-hour economy plan takes off. The former president, who is leading the opposition NDC into the 2024 general election, met with Chief Executive's platform CEOs Ghana in Accra, where he explained the strategy for his 24-hour economy proposal.
Ghana must work more efficiently. The restless quest for efficiency to solve our financial and unemployment problems is why I have emphasized that more than the traditional and regular methods of economic activity would be needed to revitalize this economy. My next administration, inshallah, will pursue projects and programs to transform Ghana into a fully fledged 24-hour economy by optimizing available resources. The 24-hour policy will be anchored as an economy that runs around the clock with a 3-shift work schedule in many sectors. The intent is to transform Ghana into first a self-sufficient and then an export-led economy. To be clear, we are not creating a command economy with centralized planning. That would be at variance with our social democratic principles as a party.
Let's get more on this with some fact-checking, because Maxwell Agbagba has a copy of the 40-year plan, and he'll be telling us more about this 24-hour economy. Maxwell, which portions of the 40-year development plan talks about the 24-hour economy that former president is alluding to? Kindly unmute for me, Maxwell. Maxwell. All right, there seems to be a connection problem. Maxwell Agbagba has a copy of the 40-year development plan. He'll be sharing with us if he's able to join. Maxwell, can you hear me? Which portions of the 40-year development plan talks about a 24-hour economy? Right, so we'll try and get Maxwell back on Zoom to tell us more about this 40-year development plan. Let's get to Parliament, because the minority has vowed to continue its resistance of the 2024 budget by subjecting all estimates of government's planned expenditure to a vote. The minority lost the vote yesterday in their attempt to reject the 2024 budget. The NPP majority managed to whip all their 138 members into the House to vote to approve the budget, while the minority had one of their members absent. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante has more.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will now heave a heavy sigh of relief after weeks of having to wait. His budget and economic policy has now gone through the House after a head count today on the floor. We'll give you the specifics on that shortly, but first, not without some challenge from the majority side. Joe Gate, MP for Esikado Ketan and former Attorney General, attempted to arrest the head count.
We are voting on the estimates. And at this stage, we cannot be voting on the estimates because they have not been considered by the various committees. And the estimates will be voted upon at the stage that we are voting on appropriation. And we cannot vote on it because, Mr. Speaker, we have not even yet finished discussing it. The reports are not in for the committees. So at this stage, it is merely a procedural vote, or it is not a vote at all. We vote at the end of the report stage, or we vote also when we have the appropriation.
However, the minority leadership and their members believed there was nothing irregular about the process adopted.
Anywhere our standing orders use the word motion, then it is a matter that must be voted on. Because a motion is to take a decision. A motion is that we should take a decision. And how do we take a decision without voting unless there's a consensus? And it's obvious that in this matter there's no consensus. Given that there's no consensus, Mr. Speaker, we will have to vote. And we voted, and you ruled on the voting, and this side challenged and called for a head count. So, Mr. Speaker, you are doing the right thing, deciding that we should go ahead and carry out the head count.
The Speaker of Parliament said the heads will be counted come what may.
But this decision doesn't open up this matter for debate. I think it's something that we will debate later on. But for today, the heads will have to be counted.
But then came some more controversy when the Speaker of Parliament decided that people would have to stand in their seats and actually shout whether they are voting for or against the budget. The majority leader will have none of that.
Mr. Speaker, so for those who support it, you said the ayes have it. So now it will be for you to ask who support the eyes. And then the eyes will rise up to be counted. That is what it is. This is the convention and practice of this house. Where from this prevarication and trying to vary the others.
Honorable members, this cannot compel the Speaker to let them count your hairs. You better resume your seats. All what I do here, when you go out and misrepresent what I do here to the public and let them attack me, I listen to everything. It's only I don't react. Please.
And the use of the word successively does not mean we should rise in groups. It simply means one after the other. So, Mr. Speaker, you are right. And I see no reason why we should litigate over this matter.
As I've said, I disagree with this interpretation, and I must emphasize it. I strongly disagree. However, knowing that you want to stick to your position, I'll surrender. Let's do the head count. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. We are ready. Let's do it.
Majority Leader, don't give the impression that this is the first time this is being done. We have done this a number of times on this floor. Please.
Ultimately, the head count went underway.
Vincent Opon, Asante Kwajo, Tiama Kwabna Amankwa, Siama Eje Nana Amadokua.
And the budget was passed. 138 against 136, with one NDC MP absent.
Ayes 138. Noes 136.
The MP absent, James Jachikoisen, who has been unwell for some time now and is seeking medical treatment abroad. With the budget statement and economic policy now out of the way, the committees of Parliament will now consider the estimates of the various MDAs before the final vote on the appropriation is taken either on or before the 22nd of December, when Parliament is expected to adjourn sine die. Reporting for JoyNews, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Go back and speak with Maxwell Agbagba, who's been fact-checking former President Mahama's claims that his 24-hour economy is from the 40-year development plan, because he says that if this 24-hour economy takes off, he envisions Ghana to become an export-led economy. Maxwell Agbagba, which portions of the 40-year development plan talks about this 24-hour economy? Kindly unmute for me, Maxwell.
Hello, Aisha, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. So if you look at the 40-year development plan that you mentioned on page 233, indeed, it mentions and talks about the 24-hour economy. It mentions that at the basic and structural level, policy must aim at building an agile economy that responds to rapid changes in the world while creating employment opportunities and supporting social development. Now, it goes on, Aisha, to give us a key feature of what are the prominent features of such an economy. It talks about the multi-shift 24-hour economy with 6 or 8-hour work days. Yes, most of Ghana's current economy is one shift. What we used to, that's the 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. with few firms, mostly in the industrial sector, such as mining and large-scale manufacturing, producing around the clock in 3 shifts of 8 hours each. It says the dominance of the one-shift system, what we currently have largely in this economy, limits job creation and is one of the reasons why the unemployment rate remains very high and will remain so unless, it says, unless fundamental reforms are undertaken to create a multi-shift economy with work culture actually too much. It says the policy must promote this multi-shift economy, especially in sectors with the potential to serve both domestic and international clients around the clock. Now, it goes on to say that besides the industrial sector, this would include subsectors in the knowledge economy, such as design and printing, ICT services of all kinds, including call centers, education services, and engineering. It says a conventional 3-shift system will result in 3 8-hour shifts for a total of 24 hours, while an innovative 4-shift system will create 4 6-hour shifts for the same number of hours. Both systems, it says, imply increased labor productivity and a corresponding increase in labor compensation, Aisha.
Maxwell Agbagba with those details from the 40-year development plan. Let's go back to Parliament, because Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagmin says the anti-gay bill will definitely be passed by the House before adjourning for Christmas break. Yesterday, there was near chaos on the floor of the House when the First Deputy Speaker adjourned the House without taking the bill. Sponsors accused the majority MPs of trying to frustrate the progress of the bill. More from the Speaker shortly. First, listen to Joseph Osewusu explain to the Speaker on the floor of the House why he had to adjourn the House.
Assume that because today it is not done today, then it is an attempt to frustrate the process. It is not right. I am a member of the Catholic Church, just as you, the Speaker. The Catholic Church has not raised an issue. Are we not entitled to consider those matters? As the Honorable Deputy Leader was the one who represented the House at that meeting, are we not entitled to consider those matters? Did those matters go before the committee? Should we, as he suggested, Honorable Sam just suggested, we could have finished in 1 hour? Please, this bill should last the rest of the, it should last to serve the whole country. There's no need to rush. Today I said it was embarrassing for me when it was found out that the Companies Act, the Supreme Court struck out a clause because in a hurry we included a clause which is so elementary. I remember that I was presiding on that day, and it shouldn't have eluded me that we declined permission for a member to be a director when he has not been convicted, just been charged. It shouldn't have eluded me. But these are some of the challenges we endure because we're in a hurry to pass the bill. So I think that it is most unfair to insist that because it was not taken yesterday, then it means that I am against it, the side is against it, and that the members of the side actually deliberately frustrating the process. I think, Mr. Speaker, this House is guarded by rules, this House is guarded by our Constitution, and when it comes to business of the House, Mr. Speaker, it is to be shepherded by the leadership. It is to be shepherded by the leadership. And the leadership did not guide me as of yesterday. There was disagreement. The majority, Deputy Majority Whip said, you think that we have done enough for the day. And the Chief Whip said, they haven't agreed that we have done enough for the day. But Mr. Speaker, look round. We are less than 50 members. We did not constitute a quorum to transact business, let alone to take a decision. So, Mr. Speaker, whoever reported that to you, that I did not carry out your instruction, was wrong. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member Sam George went on air to say that he heard that you instructed me. I spoke with you here at the podium where we exchanged. He was not there. Whatever we discussed was not to his hearing. How could he have said that on air, that he heard that you gave me that instruction? I think such things should not be done. Whatever Mr. Speaker discussed with me, even if he discussed with him further, it should be considered as being intended for him and not for the public. Mr. Speaker, if we don't take care, we will end up in the end dividing the House in a matter in which we have already a concurrence. We are agreed.
Democracy is in motion, and we are now emphasizing a lot of openness, transparency, accountability. There are some matters that should not be communicated, but there are some things that people who need to know should know, not everybody. The rest that you stated, please don't let us take some of these issues as precedents. We know that when it comes to consideration stage of bills, not many members are interested in consideration stage, not only in Ghana, all over the world. That is the practice. So when you talk about quorum, then you are introducing something that could really have a challenge in this house. But it's good that the First Deputy Speaker has spoken. The only thing is that please don't take it as a decision to be insisting that there must always be quorum before we go on with consideration. Consideration stage is an informal stage of the processes of a bill. Informal. And so we are looking at those that are technically inclined to do those things and make sure that the right thing is captured in the bill. So please, there are many more things we have to do. That is why even we are now trying to formalize the winnowing stage. And so it will now be captured in the new standing orders. Winnowing stage of bills. Whatever the situation, I know that nobody in this house is opposed to the bill, and that this bill will see the light of day before we rise.
We can now go back to our earlier story where two headmasters of Orali Senior High School and that of Ghana Senior High School, Ghana's, have been asked to step aside for investigations into alleged charging of unapproved fees and selling unauthorized items. I've been joined by Cassandra Chum, who is the PRO of GES. Cassandra, what exactly is the offense of these headmasters?
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning to you, Aisha, and your viewers. Yes, so these items, or these heads, as you rightly indicated, had certain items unauthorized, and then they selling on their school campus. In the case of Ghana Senior High School headmistress, she asked the students to go to school or to report in their office, that's their home attack. And when you get to school, you are asked to change over, buy a ceremonial cloth. They claim it's a ceremonial cloth, and then track it. And then if you do not buy, it means that you are forced to go back home. And back of Orali headmistress had also at the table charging 350, according to them, as PA charges or PA dues, and then you pay, they give you receipt before you can proceed. And so these are all items or things that for us we had not approved. It wasn't part of the admission process for first years. And so we have asked them to step aside so we can really delve deeper in our investigations, and then we can continue. So that's what has happened.
So far, what have your investigations uncovered?
So just as I indicated early on, Ghana's, they were paying or buying ceremonial cloths, 200 cedis, track suits, 250. And so once you get on campus, you need to buy these items. And then already you need to pay 350. So this is the first or the initial investigation that we have established. And then we need to delve deeper. Reason why we've asked them to step aside so we can have that launch that skill investigation into why they have to sell these items and why they have to also let the Form 1 pay before they can continue the admission process. Without these processes or without paying or buying these items, it means that you cannot complete the admission process. And some are tricky back. So imagine somebody traveling from probably a Ashanti region, the upper east, upper west to eastern region, only to be turned back. Because now when you print out your placement form, you know what to buy. And even before the placement came out, we had also published the harmonized prospectus. And so they have already prepared, knowing that we asked them on the prospectus to buy checks. And so most of the schools, they had their first years reporting in their checks, because the real school uniform and then the house jackets are all being supplied. Really, it's under the CSA policy, so they do not buy. So why a particular school would decide to tell students not to buy their checks or not to come to school with their checks, but rather in more you get to the school, you have to buy a kind of cloth changeover before you can even be allowed given a dormitory or to allow them to into a dormitory.
All right, so that means that if the investigations are completed and they are found culpable, there will be punishment. What would be the punishment for these two headmasters?
Then management would decide. So we would wait for the report from the regional directors. These are regional director, regional director after the report, and then we'll move from there. Whatever recommendation they come up with, management at the headquarters will also look at it. But of course, if it happens or if we establish that indeed all these things, as we have already established that prima facie, it comes out like that again, then definitely the sanctions would be made known for all of us to know.
I've seen that you've, as you ask them to step aside, there's some other people you're asking to come in. Who takes up the mandate of running the schools in their absence?
When headmistress of senior high schools are asked to step aside, the regional director steps in. And so they hand over everything to the regional director until investigations are over, of course, with the support of the assistant head. We have academic and then we have domestic.
Cassandra Chum is the PRO of the Ghana Education Service. Grateful for those updates. And back in Parliament, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah says the decision to suspend the laying of a proposed regulation to restrict the importation of selected goods shows that government listens. The government pulled the brakes on the LI after sustained opposition from the minority in Parliament, who blocked the laying of the LI on 3 occasions, and some interest groups. Speaking to JoyNews in Parliament, the minister says further consultation on the regulation is now in full swing.
Cabinet has not met since the last time, when he shared the information on what was within the LI and that it was coming to Parliament. But I think as we are here, we engage, we listen, we have a sense of the importance of this policy, and more importantly, the need to get everybody rallying around it. Because what it will do is that it will ensure that the local production of all of these items is boosted. And if you've watched in about 2-3 budgets that have gone by, this is a major point that we've been making. But it is important to ensure that we're all on the same page as we do that. And so the idea is to ensure that the outstanding stakeholders get an opportunity to have their views expressed and considered, even as we consider this policy. The laying of the LI has been suspended, so that the various stakeholder groups that still have outstanding issues can have those issues discussed with the ministry. The laying of the legislative instrument is being suspended to enable the various stakeholder groups who have still got outstanding issues to have those issues discussed and hopefully addressed before the next line of action is taken on that particular policy. These consultations usually are meetings, and as the minister mentioned, there have been a lot of meetings that have taken place with the various stakeholders, and that he even had assurances from the minority before he was to bring the instrument onto the floor. And because it's an LI, it's not going to be amended when it is laid. But subsequent to the attempt to late, there have been questions, issues that have been raised, and consequently, he's going to engage some more before the next line of action.
Let's stay in Parliament a bit longer because the minority in Parliament says the government must immediately put before the House the lithium mining agreement signed with the Barari DV. Former Chief Justice Ofeya Kufuor has described the agreement as inimical to Ghana's progress and not different from the one signed during colonial times. The minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, John Jinapo, said the deal must come before the House immediately, while warning the company not to mine until parliamentary ratification. Government says the 15-year lease granted the company to mine lithium at Ewoya in the central region has favorable terms for Ghana. Listen.
As you may be aware, Article 6268, and let me re-emphasize, Article 268 of the 1992 Constitution is explicit, and it states that any transaction, including but not limited to the application for a license to exploit a natural resource, requires prior parliamentary approval. On this note, I want to make it loud and clear and succinct and explicit that the agreement between the government of Ghana and Barari DV should be laid before Parliament without delay. And let me assure the people of Ghana that the minority would not let you down. We would scrutinize the agreement. We would not allow this agreement to be rushed through. We would seek the guidance, the involvement of civil society. We will speak to important personalities, including former Chief Justice, Justice Ofeya Kufuor, who has been vocal on this lithium agreement. The new order is lithium. Lithium is more profitable than gold. Lithium is more profitable than diamond. And the world order is moving to this green mineral. And so the minority would insist that Ghana benefits from this resource and that the terms and agreements, if they are not in the interest of Ghana, the minority would kick against that. But let me re-echo and re-emphasize that we demand that the Akufo-Addo-led government tables or lay this agreement before Parliament without delay. And let me also caution Barari that any attempt to commence mining without parliamentary approval would be illegal. And I also want to caution officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, as well as the Minerals Commission, that they have no authorization to allow Barari to commence mining of lithium without parliamentary approval.
Well, former Chief Justice Ofeya Kufuor some days ago described the lithium agreement as one that has colonial-era terms inimical to the progress of Ghana. She spoke at the Institute of Economic Affairs program here in Accra.
Area we call Ghana, you should be asking for more do because it's yours. It doesn't belong to the Minerals Commission. It doesn't belong to it doesn't belong to any individual. It belongs to the people of Ghana. If it's not in the area, it stays. It's like the territory of Ghana, and it belongs to you. So I here wishes to advise Parliament to exercise caution and patience, secure a modern, best practice-based arrangement that will guarantee maximum benefit for the people of the Republic of Ghana, instead of the usual colonial type lease that benefits foreign companies masquerading as investors in their local cohorts.
My view, my legal view, is that a transaction that requires ratification is not complete. It's incomplete. This is a document. It is signed and sealed and delivered. But because it is a deed which has to be ratified by a named authority, That is the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. This process is incomplete. Anybody who allows this thing to end us in a judgment debt is a bad lawyer.
Former Chief Justice Sophia Ekofo there. Now, Chief of Staff Akosua Fremose-Pare has revealed how the first and second ladies of the state and other female political figures are championing the action on the call for taxes on sanitary pads to be scrapped. Speaking at the launch of the Electricity Company of Ghana scholarship scheme known as FEMPA scholarships, the Chief of Staff noted a lot is being done behind the scenes to empower women. The scholarship scheme by the ECG Power Queens Club is to help empower young women who are interested in studying electrical engineering at the tertiary level.
The scholarship scheme, instituted by the female workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana, FEMPA, has been launched to help brilliant young women to understand electrical engineering programs in tertiary institutions. Chief of Staff Akosua Fremose-Pare underscored the need to push women to the top and empower them, while appreciating the many efforts being made by leaders of the country in making sure that women are on the same level as men. She refuted claims that the first and second ladies are missing in action on the many calls for the scrapping of taxes on sanitary products.
They are not missing in action. Lots of work is being done, maybe not in Accra or in Kumasi, but in villages where you hardly go. But in terms of mother and child care, health, these are activities that empower women because it strengthens them to be able to access other resources. There's been a lot of calls, and the calls you always may mention one MP that stands up to say it, but behind the scenes have been more calls who have people like the first and second ladies who are very much grassroots oriented people and really do a lot of outreach programs.
She further stated that being a female in a male-dominated sector has been a huge challenge.
Well, I will never say that it is easy to be in a male-dominated area. In fact, it's not easy to be a woman leader in this country. Everywhere you go in a boardroom, you may be the only female or one or two. Sometimes they even forget to say ladies and gentlemen, they say gentlemen. So, because we are missing at the boardroom. When you get into positions like that, know that it's not going to be easy.
Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Samuel Dubik Mahama, explains why it has become necessary to build a scholarship scheme.
I'm very excited because it has been one of the passionate projects for me since I took over as MD of Electricity Company of Ghana. The Power Queens have always been very dear to me. They've supported me in a lot of programs and endeavors that we've undertaken, and I personally took an interest because I've supported most of their projects going forward. Management's main aim is to try and get more women into management roles. So ours is to make sure that we train them, give them the right capacity for them to come into those management roles. Yes, currently, since Cynthia retired, she was replaced by a man, so the number of women in management has dropped by one. But we are on a path to make sure that the number of women that are directors, that number increases. At the right time, now that has been launched, they will share the details of how it's going to be managed and how you can apply and all of that. All of that is going to be structured properly for us to see how best to reach everybody at their point of need.
The primary focus of the scholarship scheme is on nurturing and empowering women, providing them with the tools and opportunities necessary to assume leadership positions within the electrical distribution industry under the auspices of the ECG Power Queens Club. FEMPA is a pioneering endeavor that underscores the commitment of the ECG Power Queens Club to foster gender diversity and inclusivity within the organization. Rejoice Semefa Pesu's report read to you.
The Ministry of Education says it will continue to implement interventions aimed at enhancing the reading proficiency among school pupils, especially those at the foundational levels. In 2015, early grade reading assessments revealed that only 2% of primary 2 pupils could read and understand. But according to the ministry, recent standardized tests have shown a remarkable improvement, with 38% of learners now demonstrating reading proficiency. Deputy Education Minister John Ntimfodjo has been speaking at this year's Central Regional Reading Festival.
John Ntimfodjo says the ministry has noticed significant advancement in the reading proficiency of children in the country's basic schools. He highlighted the stark reality that in a group of 10 individuals, only 1% would possess reading skills before COVID-19. And to combat this, the Ministry of Education has implemented targeted interventions with the ambitious goal of ensuring that 90% of learners acquire reading proficiency.
We want our learners to be proficient in their mother tongue, whether Gruni, Dagbani, Tree, Fanti, Ga, Ever, whichever language that is approved and is their first language. We want them to be proficient in it. We also want them to be proficient in English, which is the official language of instruction. Therefore, a number of interventions have been implemented by the Ministry of Education together with our partners. Over the years, these interventions have proven very effective in improving the reading performance of our learners. One very key indicator, which we always compare, is the early grade reading assessment that was done in 2015, which indicated that out of the P2 learners across the country, only 2% were reading at grade level. Only 2% were reading proficiently in 2015. Now, due to the formidable and effective phonics-based approaches and interventions that we put in place, the learning activity, the training of teachers, transition to English plans that was done with the support of USID, the play-based pedagogy, and all the interventions with the support of UNICEF, with Saber Education, with Lively Minds, Right to Play, and other partners. We have been able to improve from that 2% of pupils learning at P2 to 38%. as per the outcome of National Standardized Test 2022.
The Deputy Minister indicated the improvement in reading proficiency reflect the Ministry of Education's dedication to tackling learning challenges and creating a more literate society. Central Regional Director of Education, Emmanuel Esuman, is upbeat that with play-based approaches and other interventions, the reading habit of the children will improve significantly.
It is in order, very, very important, critical for every region to continue this festival. And then the reason is that when we do that, one, we give motivation to the children. And like I said, the theme for this year's Reading Festival Central is Read to Succeed. It is the basics. If you know how to read and with understanding at each grade level, it means you can go to whatever level in education you want to achieve. So reading is very, very important.
The Reading Festival, the ministry says, is one of the avenues to help deal with learning poverty in Ghana.
We're still live on JoyNews Desk. We're coming to you from our studios in Kokomlimle. Let's take a break. We'll be bringing you business shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Bank of Ghana has hit hard at exporters who failed to repatriate a fraction of their proceeds to help maintain stability of Ghana's foreign exchange. The bank also warned that the 60-day grace period given exporters will always be enforced to check abuse. Chief Manager in charge of Foreign Global Transfer and Remittance at the Bank of Ghana, Eric Hammond, said the bank is in collaboration with the security agencies to ensure exporters comply with the rules and regulations.
According to the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, and the accompanying letter of commitment, exporters are obligated to repatriate proceeds of merchandise through the bank, with the exception of those with retention arrangements. This repatriation is expected to be 100% of the export value of all merchandise exports. Eric Hammond said exporters found guilty could face a fine of 5,000 penalty unit, equivalent to 60,000 Ghana cedis, or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years or both.
When you are repatriating your export proceeds, we have two types of foreign account. We have the foreign currency account and then the foreign exchange account. You have to repatriate the proceeds through the foreign exchange account. You have to repatriate the proceeds through the foreign exchange account and not the foreign currency account. We've had instances when banks have called us, Mr. Hammond, this is our exporter, he has brought the money, he is asking us to put the money in the foreign currency account. And then we say no, but he still insisting. I say, but you know the law, you know what the law says, you know what the regulation says. Because the two accounts are not the same. One has restrictions on how to move funds from it, and the other is free without any restriction. So those who want to bring in to repatriate to make sure that they meet the requirement of the law, yes, they will bring it and they will force the bank, look, put it in the foreign currency account, knowing very well that the foreign currency account, because there's no restriction, they can move the money out at any time, and then that will also be an infraction on the law. But with the foreign exchange account, there are some restrictions on that account, and before you move out funds to pay for any import, you must support it with the import declaration form, blah, blah, all those things before you be allowed to move. So most exporters find it more convenient to use the foreign currency account instead of the foreign exchange account, and that is also not right.
Speaking on behalf of the Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Shippers Authority, Head of Shipper Services and Trade Facilitation, Monica Josiah, detailed the need for exporters to embark on the move.
Ghana Shippers Authority has since 2019 engaged shippers and invited Bank of Ghana to sensitize them, but we realized that there were still challenges. So Ghana Shippers Authority engaged the management of Bank of Ghana, including all the governors, to talk about the way forward. And it came out that really the non-conformity was the main problem, and it was because of the lack of awareness on the part of exporters. So there was the need to do this sensitization. So we started in August 2022, went to 9 regions, and today's workshop is the final, the culmination of all the 10 sensitizations.
Participants at the forum raised various concerns, including rising freight charges, challenges with the LOC system, application of an exchange rate above the BOG rate at the port, and lack of financial and technical support from the government. James Ishen's report for Joy Business.
And that's it for the segment. The news continues after the break.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. See you again at 12.